There was a lot of discussion about that leaked intel report about Operation Midnight Hammer that said that the strike only set back Iran's nuclear program by months. And he said that's not true. He believes that the nuclear program was set back by decades. He also said that there's a leak investigation with the FBI right now. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, confirmed that, and they believe that that leak was politically motivated. So let's bring back in Dr. Rebecca Grant to discuss all of what just transpired and all of what the president just said. He says that he's confident that this strike did the job of obliterating their nuclear facilities. Given the firepower that these weapons did have, Dr. Grant, I mean, we're talking about 14, 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs. What do you think about that? Do you think that these facilities were effectively obliterated, as the president said?
Wow, that was a full bomb damage assessment briefing. And first, I've got to say, NATO is thrilled with Trump's B-2 strike on Iran. They are thrilled. And what an honor for them to hear it kind of debrief there. Key points, high altitude strikes, 52,000 feet. Clearly, Natanz, the conversion facility where 2 MOPS hit, absolutely wiped out. And then at Fordow, it was an underground inferno caused by the 6 MOPS going into each of 2 aim points. Thank you, weaponeering officers at Whiteman Air Force Base, 509th Bomb Wing, whatever captains and majors you are that did that, you got it perfect. And that means that it is basically a burned out rubble. He talked about seeing the flares of that fire up around the surface, so much that he told us. And it really backs up his statement that that facility was obliterated and that Iran basically cannot enrich and continue with a weapons program at this point.
So cannot is one thing, don't want to is another thing. Yet the president did say a number of statements alluding to the fact that Iran doesn't want to keep enriching. He said the following: I think they've had it, not going to do it again. Last thing they want to do is enrich. They're not going to enrich. So basically reassurances that they are not going to build a bomb. What did you make of that?
That Iran was just shocked. Their leadership was just shocked and devastated by this B-2 attack, that they literally had no idea that the B-2s and American military power could do that to them. Now, are they still dangerous? Yes, and he alluded to that. They'll have their missiles. I hope they stop it with the terrorists. There's still an ideological, theological regime. There's still thugs. There's still a problem. But he has removed Iran as a nuclear threat. NATO is thrilled. You know, the missiles reach NATO. Iran's missiles can reach NATO. There's a whole Aegis Ashore facility in Poland that was built to counter the Iranian missile threat years ago. So this is just, it is a complete change. He has taken out an emergent nuclear power and the whole world is safer. And the NATO allies are really glad to have President Trump's leadership and glad to have that U.S. military leadership where it really brushes away the shadows of Afghanistan and so much else.
Yeah, and it seems like, Dr. Grant, that the president is getting heated about this leaked report because, like Defense Secretary Hegseth said, he believes that it's politically motivated. But also, it seems like the president feels like this reporting discredits the fighter pilots that completed this mission. And he has given them credit for doing just that. And then at the end of these remarks, what was brought up was the Gaza hostage situation, which is still ongoing. And he said that Steve Witkoff believes that a deal could be done very soon.
Yes. Well, remember, Iran was instrumental in the October 7th, 2023 attack. I think what we're hearing is President Trump believes that the U.S. now has the momentum in the Middle East. They've gotten rid of Iran, and he's hoping that momentum will carry through to getting Hamas to finally agree to the hostage releases and to that next phase of the ceasefire, and then hopefully to a redevelopment of and better future for the Gaza area.
Yeah, and Dr. Grant, I've been wondering that when the United States negotiates with Iran, which is something that will happen, could the Gaza hostages be a part of their negotiations with Iran? Iran going to Hamas and saying, you got to give up the hostages right now?
Oh, I would love to see that. So Hamas is so hard-headed, so difficult to predict. But you remember how President Trump would say, you know, all hell will break loose. Well, now we've actually seen what that's like. And that strike on Iran also has to have an impact on Hamas.
Let's go back to the beginning of that press conference there with the Secretary General and our president. It was a question that I was planning on asking you, but the Secretary General answered it and answered it and answered it multiple times. The question was, does NATO reach that 5% threshold without Donald Trump? And you heard the Secretary General say, would not have happened without Donald Trump. And then he said something else that I think may have gotten lost, and I want to get your thoughts on this part of it. The original thinking was that these NATO nations would increase their spending levels by 2030. That is less than 5 years away, but still a significant amount of time. And the Secretary General said, no, they're going to increase those levels this year. What did you make of that reassurance from him?
Stunning. And remember, Russia is producing 1,500 tanks a year, 3,000 armored vehicles a year, 250,000 artillery shells a month. Our NATO commander says they will replace all the equipment they've lost in Ukraine. So NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is absolutely right to say they've got to start that right away. I think that means that you'll see procurements and budget allocations and orders to the defense companies happening now, not just postponed into the indefinite future.
Yeah, without a doubt. It was fascinating comments by President Trump, the NATO Secretary General, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. We thought it was just going to be a simple pull-aside and photo between President Trump and the NATO Secretary General, and we ended up getting a lot of information that we will be analyzing and discussing in the days to come. Dr. Rebecca Grant, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks,
to kick us off. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.